In the Moscow region, the head of Russia's largest composite materials manufacturer, Umatex Group, Alexander Tyunin, was found dead. A shotgun was found nearby, and in the car there was a note in which he allegedly explained that he was tired of fighting depression. This is already the 35th mysterious death of a Russian top manager since 2022, that is, since the start of Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine. Interestingly, in Russia, all these stories are publicly explained in the same way, not as a crime, but as some kind of personal circumstances. It looks as if, in Russia, wealthy and successful executives have suddenly forgotten how to live, but have mastered the skill of disappearing at just the right time. What is really behind these incidents? Let's try to figure it out now. From the beginning of 2022 until the summer of 2025, there have been at least 35 mysterious deaths of high-ranking Russian officials, top managers of state companies, and influential businessmen. The names on the list are not random. These are people who worked in areas strategically important to the Kremlin: oil and gas, finance, defense, transportation, and government administration. Among them are executives from Gazprom, Lukoil, Novatek TAFE, as well as bankers and traders from organizations like Gazprom Bank, Alka Bank, Rosatom, and the Moscow Exchange. The peak of deaths occurred in 2022, when Russia launched a full-scale war against Ukraine and was hit by the first major wave of international sanctions. That year, 19 people died suddenly. In 2023, 9. In 2024, 3. And in 2025, so far, 4. The victims share one, but extremely notable trait. They had access to highly sensitive information about corruption schemes, manipulations, and criminal deals at the very top. And in Putin's Russia, as everyone knows, such knowledge is hazardous to your health.
Most of the deaths occurred on Russian territory: Moscow, the Moscow region, St. Petersburg, Nizhny Novgorod, Sochi, Yakutsk. However, the geography also extends to foreign territories. Argentina, Dmitry Tislenko; United Kingdom, Mikhail Tolstoshaya; Spain, Sergei Protasinia; India, Vladimir Bedanov, Pavel Antov. This shows that, so to speak, the geography of deaths was not limited to Russian territory alone. The most likely explanation for the causes of these deaths, if we look at it through the lens of violent death, is the elimination of witnesses. From a publication on the Inform Napalm website.
The most recent person on this list of those who died suddenly is Alexander Tyunin, the general director of the company, Kimprom Engineering. His body was found in the Moscow region on a road near his car, not far from a forest. Nearby, there was a hunting rifle and a suicide note. But what's more important is what his company was involved in. Kimprom Engineering is the only producer of carbon fiber in Russia and a key supplier of materials for Shahid attack drones. It is this fiber that is used to make the fuselages of Russian drones. According to information from open sources, Umatex provides about 95% of all carbon fiber production in Russia. In other words, the person who controlled the production of materials critically important for Russia's war against Ukraine suddenly decided to end his life.
Kimprom Engineering is a scientific and production company within Rosatom that develops and manufactures carbon composites for aviation, energy, and industry. Tyunin became its general director in April 2016. Later, the company became part of the Advanced Materials and Technologies division under the Umatex brand, which came under U.S. sanctions in February 2023. From a publication by the Moscow Times.
Before the incident with Tyunin, there was a telling story involving the former Russian Minister of Transport, Roman Starovit. On July 7, 2025, he was removed from his post, and soon after was found with a gunshot wound in his personal car in the Odintsovo district of the Moscow region. According to analysts, Putin fundamentally refuses to admit his own personnel mistakes. Officials in Russia are not openly and honestly fired for failures. In the past, they were either moved to new positions or rewarded with criminal charges. But the full-scale war against Ukraine has seriously changed the rules of the game. The Kremlin began to monitor the ranks much more strictly. Arrests became routine, and the sentences in high-profile cases have come close in length to those for political crimes. Starovit's death became more than just another number in the statistics. It's a signal. Even those who have loyally served the regime for decades can no longer afford to look to the future with confidence.
For the elite, the question now is different. How do you survive in this system? Who and for what can be arrested? Is it possible to get out of this scheme with minimal losses? It's clear that sanctions have seriously hit their escape routes. Now, even abroad, it's tough for Putin's officials. They won't be allowed into places with no extradition, and in friendly countries, it's easy to reach them. Inside the power vertical, things are also getting more and more difficult. From a Deutsche Welle publication.
Now, as noted by Foreign Affairs, Russian elites live in an atmosphere of constant pressure and fear. Officials, oligarchs, and top managers are either imprisoned, eliminated, or made to disappear. This fear is no longer isolated. It permeates the entire system of power. Following Stalin's example, the Kremlin uses fear as a tool of control and as the dominant factor in governance. It paralyzes Putin's elite, turning them into a frightened and completely controlled class, where neither wealth, nor connections, nor personal loyalty can guarantee safety. Starov's death was a cold shower for Putin's inner circle. The names change, but the scheme remains the same. Those who were considered insiders just yesterday are now dying. And with each new signal, the message to the elite grows louder. You are only here as long as it suits the dictator.
Today, there are no rules of the game for the Russian elite. There is no longer any protection from their patrons. Even the support of the influential Rotenberg family couldn't save Starovoyt. The arrest of billionaire Vadim Mashkevich and the seizure of Domodedovo showed that wealth and business are conditional and belong to the state only as long as the Kremlin allows it. The elite lives in an atmosphere reminiscent of Stalin's era. There is compromising material on everyone, and no one knows whose name will be next on the list. From a publication by Foreign Affairs.
Tensions within the Russian elite are becoming increasingly noticeable. One of the key signals was the unexpected dismissal of Dmitry Kozak, a longtime ally of Putin and deputy head of his administration. According to the Institute for the Study of War, Kozak believed from the very beginning that the full-scale invasion of Ukraine was a mistake and advocated for a swift end to the war. To understand the scale, Kozak is not just an ordinary official. He was part of Putin's inner circle, a person entrusted with sensitive negotiations. Moreover, according to journalists and experts, at the Security Council meeting on February 21, 2022, he was the only one who openly objected to launching the invasion of Ukraine. Officially, Russian propagandists reported that Kozak left for business. But in Putin's system, voluntary resignations at that level practically don't exist. His departure is a rare public sign that Russia's war against Ukraine is causing internal cracks even within the monolith of Putin's inner circle.
Kozak's exit from the Kremlin will strengthen Kiriyenko's power and authority within the administration. Putin's likely decision to remove a high-ranking Kremlin official from his inner circle after he expressed a desire to end the war against Ukraine is yet another indication that Putin and his advisors are uniting around their commitment to continuing the war in Ukraine and Putin's maximalist military demands. From a report by the Institute for the Study of War.
All these stories come together to form a single picture. In Putin's system, dissenters are eliminated, those who have outlived their usefulness are written off, and the loyal try to escape while they still have a chance. Sudden deaths of top officials, high-profile resignations, and a silent fear in the offices, all these are signs of the regime's collapse. The Kremlin built its governance on fear, and now that very fear is eating away at the system itself.